Hey everyone! In today's video, we're taking you to one of the most extreme places on Earth, the coldest inhabited spot on the planet, Oymyakon, Siberia. This is a place where temperatures can plummet to minus 72 degrees Celsius, and in the most brutal cold snaps, even approach minus 75 degrees Celsius. Just imagine stepping outside for a second. The cold isn't just cold anymore, it's an instant assault on your body. Your face can get frostbite in mere seconds. Your eyelashes freeze together into solid ice. Your breath turns into thick white vapor that instantly crystallizes in the air. And if you're not extremely careful, the blood in your veins could literally start to freeze. This is a land that seems completely hostile to life, yet somehow, hundreds of people are still living here, breathing, surviving, fighting every single day against an endless sea of ice and wind. Join us as we explore Oymyakon, a tiny, remote village buried deep in the Sakha Republic, Yakutia, Russia, officially recognized by Guinness World Records as the coldest permanently inhabited place on Earth. The sky here is almost always heavy and gray. Snow falls relentlessly in thick, endless sheets, blanketing everything from jagged rock hills to vast frozen plains in pure, blinding white. Fierce blizzards howl through the landscape, whipping surface snow into towering, swirling columns that repeat endlessly, reducing visibility to just a few meters. The wind screams like the whisper of death itself, reminding you that every breath you take here is a battle. Look at this. Right in the middle of this endless white void, a herd of reindeer stands motionless in the storm. Their thick fur is completely coated in a layer of snow, their legs buried deep in the rock-hard drift, their bodies slowly freezing under the skin-splitting cold. They tremble weakly, each exhale exploding into a cloud of white vapor that freezes instantly in midair. You can almost feel their silent suffering as they struggle just to stay alive. Next to a makeshift wooden fence, the hunting dogs lie curled up, their entire bodies buried under snow, eyes squeezed shut from the frost, their faint whimpers barely audible over the roaring wind, a heartbreaking sound of loyalty in the face of death. Chilling, isn't it? Even the fiercest predators, wolves and polar bears, aren't spared. Their fur blends perfectly into the snow, their bodies gradually freezing solid in the relentless blizzards, letting out one final agonizing howl before collapsing motionless onto the endless white plain. A stark warning that no creature is invincible here. Snowy owls perch on dead branches, their pure white feathers now thick with snow, freezing in place and dropping to the ground like shattered ice statues, their last calls swallowed by the storm. Arctic hares try to dart across the snow but freeze mid-stride, lying still like ancient mummies trapped in an ice tomb. And yet, believe it or not, in this place that seems completely lifeless, there is still a small village of about 500 souls, mostly Yakut and Evenki people who have lived here for centuries, stubbornly refusing to surrender to nature. The old wooden houses are half buried in snowdrifts, roofs sagging under the crushing weight of accumulated snow, thin wisps of smoke rising from cracked chimneys carrying the faint smell of burning wood and sooty coal, the only fragile sign of warmth in this frozen darkness. Solid stone houses built from local rock have thick walls to trap heat, tiny narrow windows to block the wind, but they still grow damp and moldy from melting snow seeping in, creating cramped, unhealthy living conditions where illness spreads easily. Now step inside one of these round yurt-like nomadic tents. Families huddle tightly around a tiny coal and wood stove flickering weakly. Thick black smoke fills the cramped space. Oaths, stinging eyes, and burning throats. But this pitiful flame is their only source of heat. Everyone is layered in 30 to 40 pieces of old, patched-up fur clothing, inner layers of reindeer, horse, or goat hide, outer layers of heavy stitched fabric to block the wind. The clothes are bulky and weigh up to 14 kilograms, yet still not enough to fully protect against the bone-chilling cold. Faces crack and bleed from frostbite. Eyes squint painfully against wind-driven snow. Watch as the local men step outside. Dressed in up to 40 layers of ragged clothing, faces blackened with soot and crusted with snow. Fur hats pulled low, but strands of hair still exposed and frozen into brittle white spikes. They exhale thick clouds of vapor that freeze instantly into ice crystals. Walking is a struggle. Every step sinks knee-deep into the snow. Blizzards whip snow into blinding whirlwinds. Their skin turns from red to purple from frostbite. Eyelashes stick together, hair snaps like glass when touched. Their daily task is often hunting, tracking reindeer through violent storms, holding rifles so cold they must breathe on the trigger to fire, bringing back meat to feed their families. A job that can easily cost them their lives. And the children? They still play outside the tents, bundled in 30 layers of torn, patched clothing, faces pale and smeared with soot and frost, throwing snowballs at each other. But within minutes, they're shivering violently from frostbite on exposed skin, hair frozen stiff and white, breath billowing out in thick, frozen clouds. They laugh for a moment, but the laughter dies instantly when the wind picks up. They run back inside to huddle by the stove. Learning survival from the earliest age in this unforgiving world. Inside the sooty stove area, women knead rock-hard flour into rough bread, black smoke stinging their eyes and throats. Daily meals are brutally simple. Dry, chewy flour bread, gnawed slowly for calories, thin soup made from flour, and frozen animal bones, thinly sliced reindeer or horse meat that freezes naturally at -75 degrees Celsius, no fridge needed, just leave it outside. They melt snow for water in old iron pots, but the water refreezes the moment it's poured, so they must keep boiling endlessly on weak flames. Meals are bitter and monotonous. No fresh vegetables at all, because the ground is permanently frozen, permafrost. Only dried meat, reindeer cheese, and flour. Vitamin deficiency brings constant exhaustion and the threat of scurvy. Families sit around low wooden tables, silently sharing the last scraps, wind whistling through cracks, food cooling before it can be swallowed. Look over there. Sheep huddle tightly in makeshift wooden pens outside, their wool blanketed thick with snow, many already frozen solid and motionless, their weak bleats barely carrying through the storm. Local herders lead the flock across the white expanse, dressed in 35 layers of ragged clothes, faces blackened and breathing thick frost clouds, shouting against the howling wind to keep the animals from scattering, hands trembling so badly the whip is useless. Mongolian horses stand enduring the blizzard, fur-coated white, legs frozen into the snow. Their faint whinnies calling to each other. Goats climb icy rocks, freezing mid-step, horns clashing against ice with dry cracks. Herders quietly weep as they bury frozen livestock in the snow. Each loss pushes families deeper into poverty and hunger. Hunters wade through knee-deep snow in 38 layers of ragged clothing, faces raw from frostbite, breathing frozen clouds, rifles so cold they must warm the trigger with their breath to shoot. They track reindeer through savage blizzards. Coming home empty-handed means starving children crying at night. Newborns wail inside yurts. Mothers clutch them tightly in 40 layers of worn clothing, faces crusted with snow, breast milk scarce from malnutrition. Elders cough endlessly in bed from cold and coal smoke. With no medicine available, respiratory illnesses spread rapidly through the community. Snowmobiles break down in the middle of white nowhere. People push them trembling in 40 layers, faces exhaling frost, limbs numb from frostbite. Campfires die instantly in the wind. They restart them over and over with scarce firewood. Running out of wood means long, dangerous treks into distant forests, dragging logs over slippery snow, frequent falls causing broken bones in sub-zero temperatures. Phones freeze and die, cutting off communication. Small accidents quickly become fatal tragedies with no rescue possible. Going to the toilet outside means paralyzing cold and easy infections from lack of clean water. Women sew clothes with trembling hands, needles piercing frostbitten skin and drawing blood, patching ragged layers to fight the cold. Dawn arrives weakly through the white haze, pale light offering no warmth. Residents rise early to check livestock frozen overnight, bundled in 40 layers, faces blackened and exhaling frost. From the relative shelter of home to the merciless open plain, every step heavy, breath freezing on hats. Sheep move from pens to pastures, wool thick with ice, many freezing along the way. Herders shout desperately into the storm. Hunters return, dragging frozen carcasses, blood-red ice on white snow. Meals shift from hot soup, if the fire holds, to cold, tough meat. Families sit silently around the flickering, sooty stove, faces pale and weathered. Night falls early. Oil lamps flickering weakly intense. Wolves howling terrifyingly outside in the white darkness. Residents keep watch shivering in ragged layers. Sleep is broken by howling wind. Hands stiffen and must be rubbed to move. Blizzards grow from gentle to violent. Tents shaking violently. People pray in despair. From isolation in damp stone houses to faint hope when snow pauses. But another storm always arrives, and the poor continue their endless struggle.